We suck again.
Mike, what's up?
Evening, Bob. How you doing?
Good. All right, we're in for another episode of the Commute podcast. Of course, for those that have tuned in before, you know we press record when we leave the driveway and we upload when we get to the stadium. But on away games, we record from our home office. And this week, week 15, we've got the New York Giants.
Yeah,
so that's where we're at. How you doing tonight, Mike?
I think it's week 14, but yeah.
No, last week was week 14. It's week 15.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Damn.
Look,
Hey, when you've been losing as much as we have, you lose track of the weeks. Okay.
I want these weeks to fly by as much as everybody else does that's been riding this roller coaster of a season that we've been experiencing out there as Commanders fans. But geez,
that roller coaster is off the tracks right now.
My God, just when we thought we had a chance last week going in and having a team with a losing record, nope.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. We made them look like contenders.
We did. We'll see what happens this week against the Giants. But yeah, we either played down or we played the way we've been playing, which has been down, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. So just to kind of set an agenda out there for folks for what to expect during this podcast, we kind of divide this podcast into quarters. So in our first quarter, we're going to just recap last week's abysmal game and talk about basically what we didn't like, because there was nothing that I liked.
Yeah,
last week.
There was nothing. That was the big note I had. There was nothing good out of this last
We'll briefly talk
game.
about the recap and anything as a result of last week. And then in our second quarter, we'll go through our Week 15 picks, our Can't Lose Locks segment. Then we'll get into our third quarter, our new segment that we've got, our Beast and Least of the NFC East. And then our fourth quarter, obviously, we want to talk about how we think we're going to do against the Giants this week. So that's what we've got in store. Let's just get right into the first quarter. And Mike, we sat there and watched that damn game last week. I mean,
it was abysmal. And as our intro says, we suck again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you asked me, we suck again? Are we going to do the suck again intro? I'm like, we're going to keep playing that we suck again intro until we win a game. And that just reminds me yet again, 8 weeks ago now, I made a video, a celebration video, anticipating a win after, let's see, what game was that? I thought we were going to win against the Bears. So I preemptively made a social media video of all of our players dancing. I was going to mesh it up to some music, some celebratory music, but I have yet to post that video. So I'll have to.
And at this point, you might not be posting it at all till next season.
We might not be. So we'll be playing the "We Suck Again" video until we don't have a game, or intro, I should say, until we win a game. Basically, is what we need to do. But man, there was just between Jayden getting hurt, Ertz getting hurt, just everything going against us.
Just status quo for our season.
Wow, that was a hard game to watch, and we watched till the end.
We watched the whole thing.
Thing. I couldn't turn it off. But even though, at what point did you know that we didn't have a chance to win? Because it was 14-0 at halftime. I thought, who knows, Mariota coming, or was Mariota playing at that point?
Yeah, he was already playing at that point.
Okay.
I mean, of course, you knew it was over when JD went down, but I kind of knew it was over when we were down at the 1-2 yard line and couldn't score.
Yeah,
that was pretty much okay. We're right there, and we can't. You're telling me
defense
we can't go 1 yard, 2 yards into the house. Like I knew it was over.
Offense looked bad,
and then JD was just the kiss of death.
Yeah,
so.
We played defeated. From top to bottom. And then, of course, the debate that we had prior in prior weeks, which is if Jayden is healthy enough to come back and play, do you play him? And, of course, we saw him. He was healthy enough to play.
Yeah.
He was healthy enough to run around. The brace that they had, to me, didn't really seem like a brace. It seemed more like padding to me, like a padded sleeve. So
it definitely didn't look like a traditional brace if it was a brace. I'll say
the
that.
thing is, to the injury to me, and you can call it dislocated elbow, but to everybody else that's looking at it, it's, elbow going wrong direction, hyperextension of the elbow. And so I was surprised that the brace, it didn't seem as though there was anything mechanically in that brace. It didn't seem like there was anything preventing the hyperextension again. It was just more padding in case he landed on it. And guess what happened? He landed on it.
And then he was done.
And it hurt. And he came out. Now, when asked after the game, Dan Quinn said that he was cleared to come back in. But why risk it? The game was out of reach at that point, and so that's the same logic. You're gonna have
that's the same logic I've been talking about for the season in general.
Yeah, and so to me, that's when I kind of turned around the whole idea because prior to that, I was thinking, yeah, if he's healthy, let's play him. We've got our division left. Let's try to make a mark and get him back on track after this crazy season. But after hearing the logic during the game, it's the same logic for the season.
Yep, exactly.
Where the season's out of reach.
There's out of reach. There's nothing to play for.
So the only thing you could argue to play for is for his own progression, for his own practice, if you will.
That's what the off season is for at this point.
I know. That's kind of what I think too. Like, let's get fresh. Let's get healthy. Let's not risk any further long-term damage that he may have already sustained. We don't know if we don't know if this is an injury that's going to come back and linger with him. Oh, remember that injury he had sophomore year? It's always been coming back, and he's never been kind of, I don't want to put anything out there into existence, so I'll just leave that last comment. But it's hard not to look at parallels between his tenure, his season, his like what's been happening in this second season. It's hard not. I think a lot of people don't. It's hard not to look back at the similarities to him and RG3. And I've not been a huge RG3 fan post his Redskins career. I rooted for him every second he was wearing our jersey and he was on our team.
Right.
I was always hoping, I was always optimistic. I was hoping that there was a chance that it would come around. Maybe he can do, even
it wouldn't come around when he signed with the Browns. Okay.
Right. So once he kind of moved on, and there's been lots of conversations that he's had since. But once he's moved on, I've not really been a huge fan of RG3 after he's moved on from us. But I will say he had some comments this week on a radio show where I did agree with some of the comments that he had said. And, he's being asked the same thing a lot of people, like we are saying, is like, there's a lot of similarities between you and Jayden. Like, what are your thoughts on all this? And it's not always coming across in the best of light. And I think RG3 had a pretty good answer to that. I'll let you guys be the judge.
Comparisons to me with JD5 have taken a toll on the team. I think they've taken a toll on him. I think they've taken a toll on his mom and his circle. And I hate that for them because the situation that I had in D.C. was totally different. I think you guys would agree with that.
Yeah.
The infighting between the head coach and the owner before I got there in 2012 was something that I wasn't aware of.
Right.
But JD came in with a new ownership group, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, and then the leadership. I had London Fletcher, unbelievable leader. I had Santana Moss, unbelievable leader. He had Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler. Like, these were guys that had no experience with the organization. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the comparisons to me have made people go back to those years, and that's not fair to the kid. If we didn't have what we had in D.C., I'd still be there playing. Well, I'd be talking to you guys as starting quarterback of the Washington Redskins probably. But we did. So we got to move past that. We got to give this young man an opportunity to be successful and to not have those comparisons come back to me because of the injuries. I get it. Black quarterback, second pick, Heisman Trophy winner, coming into the city, takes over the town. And then the next year it's not as great. But that's where the comparisons stop, man. Yeah, and I get it. Some people will say that's a lot of comparisons, man. And I do understand that. I think
so. Obviously, I thought he was pretty articulate there. I mean, he kind of
You can't really disagree with what he said. I think that's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting it from the source. So, I mean, everybody having those thoughts about the similarities and having the, and he's very outspoken. So, yeah, just ask the guy. He'll tell you. And I thought his answer was great. And
But to this point, they're going to be compared just because they are kind of running a similar track early in their tenure with us.
Mm-hmm.
So until JD breaks that,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what happens, right? I mean, when you see those clear cut, taking number 2 overall to Washington, Heisman Trophy winner, sustains injuries in his second year after being Rookie of the Year. I mean, when you've got that, you start to look back and say, oh, well, but to what RG3 is saying there, it's just like, well, look, our situation, yeah, all those things might be true, but our situation is completely different. They're completely different players. They're completely different people.
And a completely different franchise, really, to what RG was saying.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I was getting to. I mean, even though the franchise is in Washington, that's to where that ends, right? Because it's a different name, it's a different owner, they're different coaches, the jerseys are different, except for
the name's different. Everything is different from that regard. Yes.
Right. So for us to kind of dive in, but at the same time, if you're tipping the scales and you're looking at it both ways, you always got to say, yeah, but sometimes history does tend to repeat itself, and I hope that that's not what we're watching, because even though we were living through it, I don't know. I just feel like this does feel different. Even though this season is not what we had thought. It's not what anybody had thought.
Not at all. It's not even close.
Well, to be honest, you look around the league, nothing's really what anybody thought. What's playing out around the league? Like, oh yeah, we thought this was going to happen, and this is what's happening. That's nothing. This season has been up and down all the way around. I mean, it's been kind of crazy, and making it very, very hard to pick football games, especially against the spread, Mike.
Must have had a hard week.
I'll say all that, and we'll leave last week's game in the dust, and that kind of ends our first quarter, leads us into our second quarter with our picks. So.
Can't lose locks.
All right, our can't lose locks. Mike, how did week 14, now that we've established what week we're on, how did last week 14 go for you?
It went pretty well.
Okay.
I ended up 9-5.
9-5.
Yeah.
All right.
And my overall record, including Thursday night, is something like 132-79.
All right. Well, that leads me to my next question. What was your Thursday night pick?
My Thursday night pick was Tampa Bay, who lost in that nail biter to Atlanta.
Yeah, that was a good game.
I didn't watch.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Most of it.
It was a good game. I really enjoyed it. It had it all.
The games for me don't stream well on Prime, so I don't suffer through watching them because they just don't stream all that well.
Right. All right. Well, kind of run us through. Give us your slate. Of course, for those listening for the first time, Mike just gives a straight pick right up against it. Doesn't really like to get into the spreads. He leaves that for Tom and I. But give us your. Oh, did you give us your overall record for the season already? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
if you already did it.
132 and 79.
Okay. All right. 132 and 79.
Yep. Okay, so we already talked about Thursday night's game, which I lost. So the Sunday 1:00 games, we have the Browns at Chicago, and I went with Chicago. We've got the divisional game of the Ravens against the Bengals, and I went with the Bengals. Let's see. There is the Cardinals against the Texans in Houston, and I went with the Texans. Jets against the Jaguars. I obviously went with the Jaguars, and they're in Jacksonville, by the way. But we already know how I feel about the Jets every week. Not that we're much better. Let's see. Chargers against the Chiefs in Kansas City, but I went with the Chargers. Bills at New England, and I went with the Patriots. That's 1:00 game. I'll skip our 1:00 game because we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Raiders at Philly, and I went with Philly. Getting into the 4:00 games, Packers at Denver, and I went with Denver. Lions at the Rams, and I went with the Rams. Panthers at New Orleans, and I went with Carolina. Titans in San Francisco against the Niners, and I went with the Niners. Colts at Seattle, and I went with Seattle. Sunday night game, it's the Vikings in Dallas against the Cowboys, and I went with the Cowboys. And then the Monday night game is the Dolphins in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, and I went with the Steelers.
All right. What was the toughest pick?
Well, there were a few difficult ones, like the Lions and the Rams. I feel that could go either way. Yeah. And then, of course, the divisional game, the Ravens and the Bengals, that could go either way.
Against the spread, I had a tough time with the Buffalo New England game as well.
Yeah, that could go.
Some
either
good
way
games
too.
this weekend.
Yeah, I mean the matchups are tight. Yeah. I don't really look at the right. differential, who's the favorite, who's the not. But yeah, there's some tough picks in there that could go either way.
And there's some not so good teams playing each other as well this week that make it kind of tough to pick as well when you're thinking, oh, okay, who's going to win this one? But you kind of think both teams can lose, which
unfortunately isn't the case.
Right. So,
but if it were going to happen, it would be our game. So.
Right. So as far as picks go with Tom and I, let me pull it up here. For those that don't know Tom is basically your friend that gambles. Tom just so happens to be mine. He tracks our bets every single week. We've been making them for years and years since high school. We pick a favorite, an underdog, an over, and an under every week. We alternate who picks first. Last week, Mike,
how did it go for you?
I completed the cycle. So at every point this season, I have went either 4-0, 3-1, 2-2, 1-3, and now I have completed the cycle.
You went 0 huh? Like we did, huh?
I went 0-4. Every single pick that I gave out last week was wrong.
So what's that do to your overall record?
Well, that's what I'm
I mean,
pulling
it
up
probably
right-
puts it in the old crapperoonie.
That's what I'm just pulling up right now. Yes. So, and I'd probably recommend you not say the phrase crapperoonie again, but you do what you want with that. So that brings my season record to 30, 25, and 1 with that criteria. Tom, he went 2-2 last week, bringing his to 35 and 21. So I'm still only five games back of his overall record, and I'm feeling good this week.
I mean, you can definitely. There's plenty of time to make that up.
Oh yeah, of course. So this week Tom picked first, so I will go ahead and give you his picks. And
He actually got him into you, huh?
yeah, he got him in. You guys don't even know what Tom picked with his 2-2 last week because he was late to the game. He didn't get him in, but you'll just have to take my word for it. He went 2-2. So this week he went Carolina -2.5. He went Detroit +6. He went Chargers, Kansas City over 41.5, and he went Jets, Jacksonville under 41.5. I'll give you some what I think his reasoning is on some of those picks.
Okay.
Just me always trying to decipher Tom's code,
Right.
And then for my picks, as my favorite, I went with the who did I go with? I went with the Green Bay Packers -1.5. I went Minnesota Vikings +5.5. Then I went Indy Seattle over 42.5, and then I went Tennessee San Francisco under 45.5. So you want to hear some logic? You want to hear some reasoning behind some of those bets?
I'm sure our listeners would love to.
Well, my reasoning, I'll give you my reasoning first. I'm going over on the 42.5 Indianapolis Colts, Seattle Seahawks. Now, everybody's thinking, what? Indy, didn't they have been quarterback problems? Yeah, they signed Phillip Rivers. They 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. I think the guy's got like 27 kids or something like that. No, he's got like 10 kids.
Hasn't played in 5 years.
2020 was the last year he played. He finished his career. Not a lot of people remember this, but he finished his career with the Colts. Obviously had his long career with the Chargers, but I mean, when that news broke, I was like, huh? What?
Yeah, because there was speculation a couple of years ago that he might come out of retirement, and I figured, okay, if he's not going to come out of retirement, then he's definitely done.
Right.
So when that broke this week, yeah, it was kind of like,
What?
Yeah, what?
What? I did not see that coming. I mean,
I don't think that was on anyone's
the NFL
bingo
always
card.
throws you some surprises, but I didn't see that panning out the way that it did. But we talked about him not too long ago. A couple weeks back, we talked about news around the league, and we went through like the Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, because he's
conversation, and he was a finalist. He made the top 25 for this year's Hall of Fame vote.
Yeah,
and actually he was asked about this, and I actually clipped out a clip for everybody. Go ahead and.
You retired with the Chargers in July, and you're semi-finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which that could change if you play. So all of that, did that weigh at all just in your decision to come back? And I guess what about this game, all these years in, that you just can't quit?
Yeah, the Chargers deal in the summer was special and emotional. Shoot, they surprised me with those linemen coming down there, and again, that was the intent. I mean, again, I've not given any thought of actually, playing again, and until about 48 hours ago, to be honest with you. So. But it seemed like this wasn't just any place or any coach. Or it wasn't, it's not like, oh, shoot, I hope see what happens in the league and I'll see if I can get ready. It wasn't that. And, you mentioned the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's been a real, it's a real honor to be mentioned with those other 25 guys, certainly. But, that's just I'm not holding my breath on that. And I hadn't been counting down the years. I mean, and with all respect to the Hall if one day I can be a part of that group, it will be special. No question about it. But the extension of that time, if that comes to be, was not a factor in my thinking.
I mean, every time you put a microphone around Philip Rivers, I just like the way he talks. He's kind of like Matthew McConaughey-esque, you know what I mean?
He does have a little bit of those kind of mannerisms there.
Yeah, just a good old boy, kind of a Brett Favre way of talking as well, you know what I mean? I don't know where he grew up or anything like that, but
he probably would have made it into the Hall this year.
I don't know about that. This year has, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, it's tough competition, and especially at the quarterback position.
But now we'll have to wait another 5-6 years.
Yeah. Do you think that? Does this comeback? I mean, it definitely helps the Hall of Fame case. It definitely helps.
Because it increases all of his passing yards, all that kind of stuff.
But I think it almost just it adds to the lore of the player. You know what I mean? Because look.
So if he wasn't going to get in before, you think he gets in now because of?
No, not necessarily. I will never know if he would have got in now because he's being pulled from the ballot and won't be eligible again until 2031. So we won't know. But obviously, if he takes the Colts on a run, then obviously he bolsters his case. I mean, it would be the best. Let's just say between the next 4 weeks.
It could be the best or the worst.
Well, let's just say because next 4 weeks plus the playoffs, that he's got 5-6 games left ever, right? And let's just say that he can go 3-3 or 4-2 in that stretch. And that includes a playoff win. And we're going to remember this stretch of Philip Rivers, right? And then 5 years from now, when the Hall of Fame votes come up again, it'll be like, oh, well, and then we'll already know who has gotten in and who hasn't gotten in from his era.
From his era, yeah.
And then, he'll already be in the same statistical conversation that he is right now. Plus, he'll have this extra 6 games because he's not going to go up or down, maybe 1 or 2 spots in some statistics, passing categories here and there. But like his resume has already been set. We already know that he can be a top 25 finalist. Now it's just whether or not he becomes one of these guys that is always just a top 25 and then
but never quite makes it.
Yeah, because of the other guys. But now I think it's weirdly an easier path for him, I think, to get into the Hall of Fame, adding this extra,
And it all depends, too, to that point, who's eligible in 2031. I have no idea. Haven't even.
Now, is there any way this hurts him? Because if he has like that Aaron Rodgers with the Jets kind of a moment, and God, I don't hope that happens, and I'm knocking on wood for him. I'm not going to be the guy to kind of
put that out there.
No, but I'm just saying, if he comes out in this game and can't run around and is all gassed up and gets sacked and gets hurt, I mean, one, that's on him. And that, 2, that's on the Colts.
Yes.
Because he's 44 years old. He's a grandfather, I believe.
Yeah.
So, you got to look out for player safety overall. I just think it's hilarious. But you know what? I'm all here for it. So I say all that to say I'm taking the over. One, because Seattle is really good, and we know that they can put up 40-some odd points.
Yeah.
And even if Rivers doesn't perform all that good, they still got Jonathan Taylor. He can hand the ball off. He's been coaching high school ball and implementing the same Colts offense that they had. So he's familiar with how everything operates, and they wouldn't be bringing him in here if they didn't think that he could do it at a high level.
He must have shown them something.
Yeah, to me, it's just whether or not endurance-wise he can still stand up. Because even if he can, if the passing plays that they give him are all quick trigger passes and he gets rid of the ball and it's done, which I believe that's what it'll be. If he gets in a position where he's going to throw the ball, it's all going to be quick stuff. You're not going to really see him on the run, but God, he is a little bit of a gunslinger, so I don't know what we're going to be able to see.
It'll be interesting to see what he has left.
I'm excited to watch. And you know what? We've got a true test on whether or not you can really blame the Colts for this strategy, right? Because I told you I was going to give you some insight into Tom's picks. Well, he is taking New York Jets, Jacksonville under 41.5. You want to know what his logic is behind that?
Okay.
The Jets are in a tough quarterback situation right now.
Yeah.
They don't have Fields. They don't have Tyrod Taylor, which Tyrod should retire. He's just been injured every single time he's been put in. He's a great ball player, just never really been able to see the opportunities of health that he's needed. But
it's because he really hasn't played for good teams.
Well, that's true too. But the Jets are starting undrafted rookie Brady Cook. And as their backup quarterback, they have an undrafted guy from 2023 draft named Adrian Martinez.
Just give him the loss. Don't even play the game.
Well, I say that to say, the Colts and the Jets are they're banged up at the quarterback position. They don't have solutions. They're signing people, right? The Colts are taking the stance of let's bring in a veteran QB, and they brought in the most veteran QB that you can bring in. I don't know if there was anybody is there anybody older that would have said yes? You know what I mean? He's the most veteran QB that would say yes, I believe. And then the Jets are taking the opposite approach. They're going, all right, well, who didn't we draft that we possibly could see ourselves of drafting on our team? But, let's sign a young guy that can operate a simple offense. And so we're going to see what strategy is best. Bring in the vet that's not going to be very mobile or the undrafted, unproven, probably mistake riddled. But that's not to say that Rivers isn't going to be mistake riddled.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. So he's been out for 5 years.
Yeah.
So.
But anything else around the league that you wanted to touch on before we move on to the third quarter?
No, that was the big story of the week, really.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I've been really intrigued, and I recommend everybody go back to listen to Philip Rivers' press conference, and I'm going to be tuned into every press conference that he's on. But, all right, let's get into our beast and least.
Dallas sucks. Go Birds. It's the greatest city in the world.
It was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so, having said that, I want me some glory hole.
Go Birds! ELVS!
Washington football team.
NFC East. From beast to least.
All right. Our NFC East, beast and least, and just to kind of set the tone for you guys, the last couple of weeks we've been going outside the box, maybe a little bit too outside the box with this segment. But this week
it's our segment; we can do what we want.
Yeah, exactly. This week we're bringing it home. I've got the beast this week, so because Mike and I are alternating. So I've got the beast, and I'm going to declare Zach Ertz as the NFC East beast. this week because
Solid pick, but let's
he-
hear your reasoning.
yeah, he experienced a devastating injury in last week's game that looks like it will most likely end his career. I hope it doesn't. Wouldn't be surprised if it does.
It seems like it's trending in that direction, even at this early onset.
It was such a brutal injury to watch too.
Yeah.
He was out as a wide receiver coming across the middle. Defender coming at him, kind of hit him low, and it immediately
Kind of low at the knees.
Yeah, I would say it was the hit was really given to like his quad, and immediately as he was jumping as well, but immediately you could tell the injury was at the very least a hyperextended knee. I think came out that it's a torn ACL.
Yeah, it turned out to be the ACL.
So
A lot of that happening.
going to
this
be a
year.
lot of recovery for him. I would say at this point in the season that if he did want to make a comeback, it wouldn't be likely that he would even start the beginning of next season at this point. I know that a lot of guys make some pretty quick recoveries, but for the most part, I still think it's about 12 months for that. But Zach Ertz, we've been talking about him all season long. He's been climbing up the ranks in tight end receptions and touchdowns for career. And I think he's a Hall of Famer based off of this career that he's sustained. It's not been quite as flashy as Gronkowski and Kelsey.
But when you look at what he did for Philly, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not as
Caught a
flashy.
game-winning touchdown in a Super Bowl for Philly.
You're right. It might not be as flashy as some others that have played the position, but he's a true like grinded out workhorse, you know.
Yeah, and a true pro's pro. Nobody has a bad thing to say about him, and has sustained a really long and productive career, and has been extremely productive for us the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's been a really good safety net.
It was a
for
good
teams.
investment for us.
100%. And it's just, you hate to see a guy go out the way that he did with an injury like that late in his career. You would love to see it on his terms. Heck, we were a podcast or two ago, we were talking about whether or not we would bring him back, and I'm pretty sure our conversation pretty much went, if he wants to come back, bring him back.
Yeah.
And now that he's got to go through this injury, of course, it's a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
I think he's 35. You assume that he's going to have to take a season off unless he decides he's healthy enough to help a team make a playoff push like Phillip Rivers thinks that he can. But no, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I've been looking back through his stats. I think his stats prove that he's a Hall of Famer.
I don't think there's a question there.
It's just tough for the tight end position because if you're not the best tight end in the league in that particular season, then you're kind of overlooked, right? You're either the best tight end in the league or you're just another tight end in the league.
And it's gonna be tough for him to end his career on this type of note, if that's what he ultimately decides to do. That's going to be tough to go out like this.
He was crying as he was being carted off the field, and I think a lot of fans were crying for him from all the fan bases that he's played for, because he's been around the league. So with all that being said, he's my beast. I think he's well deserving of the beast title, even though he's kind of gone out in the leastest of fashions. But he's my beast for the week, more from a sentimental standpoint. But give me your NFC East least of the week.
So
is it the Eagles because they turned over the ball those times?
Well, sorta. Sorta.
Okay.
My least for this week is the entire NFC East division.
Okay.
Let me run
The
it
whole
down.
division is
The whole division as a whole. Okay.
All right.
Because our combined record is 19-32.
Okay. I see. I
Okay.
see where your head's at. So the whole division only has 19 wins, and the whole division has 32
losses.
And that ranks the least
Yes.
in the league.
Just for the NFC.
Oh.
I didn't look at the AFC except to say, comparatively when you look at individual streaks.
Well, while
to.
you're giving me and the listeners your logic, let me look up the standings real quick and see if the AFC has a
compare the NFC record I just gave you of 19-32 to the NFC North, which has a combined record of 31-20. NFC South has a record of 21-31. And the NFC West has a record of 32-20. The Eagles, of course, have now lost their last 3. The Cowboys lost this past week in that sort of blowout game a little bit. Of course, we all know how Washington is doing. We're on an 8-game losing streak. And, of course, New York is kind of nipping right at our heels, having lost the last 7. So with all of those stats, all of those numbers, and when you look at, say, over the last 5 games throughout the entire league, no one really has that stretch of losses and stuff. So I think it's a pretty solid least.
Yeah, it is a solid. We have 19.
19 wins.
Well,
32
it's
losses.
official. That is the least in the whole league. The AFC North were contenders. The Steelers have 7 wins. The Ravens have 6. The Bengals have 4. The Browns have 3 for a total of 20 wins in their division.
Okay.
So we are officially the least in the league. So that is a really good NFC East least of the week. Wow. We suck. We suck again.
Yeah, the intro says it all, okay?
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Which Hard Knocks was good. I mean, I enjoy watching us. If you're an old hat football guy watching these teams, you're looking at some of the teams with the wins and losses, and you're thinking, God, each of these teams are. I mean, they're really trying their hardest.
And
to motivate these players.
In this episode, they really didn't focus on the Giants. It was mainly us and the Eagles and a little bit of the Cowboys. They didn't really hit on New York.
I'll tell you why, Michael. I'll tell you why. And that leads us to our 4th quarter conversation, which is the New York Giants, this week's opponent in Week 15. The New York Giants just experienced a bye week.
There still could be news to cover.
Yeah, I'm sure that there was some stuff on there, but they had their latest bye. Obviously, we saw Jameis Winston experienced his bye week.
Yeah, with
what he did.
NFL Fox.
Yeah, he's pretty good. So it's surprising that, given that we have an 8-game losing streak, that we are not last in our division. But that title still goes to the Giants. They are on a 7-game losing streak.
It's the race to the bottom, okay?
Yep. Both teams are going to get good draft picks. We know that.
Well, we need it if our team really is this bad, and we are.
As far as Vegas sees it, Giants are the favorite at -2.5, and the over/under is set at 46.5. So I don't know if you could necessarily call that high scoring or not. No, I would just say it's kind of median there, but 2 bad teams going against each other. There could be some points. You expect to see some mistakes. We obviously have got Jackson Dart in there. He's an unexperienced quarterback.
Yeah, when we opened the season against them, or he wasn't playing yet, we were still against Russell. So
Yeah, if you go back earlier in our podcast season, our week 1 podcast episode was called Wilson from Castaway, because we were playing against Russell Wilson. And Mike, we are through it. We have spoke words into existence with this podcast. It's proven many times before, but you said in that podcast that by the time we see the Giants again, it will be a completely different team. We won't be seeing Russell Wilson. You said it would most likely be Jackson Dart. And you also said that we'd have a head coaching change at this point, and that is also true. So it's been a season of turmoil, and you have predicted a Giants season fairly accurate. So, I mean, with that being said, we're not a great team, and we can't overlook this bad Giants team.
Well, they're not a good team either.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. We could still lose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We can still lose. We have proven that.
I mean, even though the Giants aren't great, we aren't great either.
No.
So, I mean, there's only one win that separates us. Now, the thing that you can really say is a little bit more true for us than it is for them is that we have been injury riddled, top to bottom all season long, and just never really been able to kind of sustain the same players in the positions in practice.
But their top receiver and running back are out.
Yes, that's true. And Jackson Dart has been in and out. I mean, they have experienced injury, but why do I feel like
not to the extent that we have.
Yeah. And they weren't great last season either.
Right.
So they're going on back-to-back bad seasons where we went to the NFC Championship game last year. So I'm giving us a little bit more credit, if that's fair.
As you should.
Right. Really interested to see what they do at head coach and kind of how their organization shifts this offseason. Obviously, we know they're going to have a really high draft pick that doesn't look like it's going to be spent on quarterback. We also have a high draft pick, which we don't think is going to be spent on quarterback. So really curious what both organizations do, which looks like in the top. We're pretty much locked in for a top 10 pick.
Yeah, right now we're at 6.
So that means the Giants are at 3 or 2?
Yeah, they could even be at 1, but they're definitely top 3.
Right. So listen, they've got some playmakers over there, but we do too. I can't. It's hard because we suck so bad, but I still don't see us losing this game.
Okay.
So I know it's tough, but it's one of those deals where we're on an 8-game losing streak. They're on a 7-game losing streak. We're not very good. They're not very good. They are at home, but even still, for us to be this bad, we're only a 2.5 point dog. You know what I mean? This is a close game on paper.
I mean, I'm going to cut right to it and say, yeah, we're going to lose again.
Okay, we suck again.
Yeah,
again.
We're going to lose again. I just don't know how many points we're going to score. I have it as a low scoring game altogether.
Okay.
I think we lose 21-10.
Okay. So are you really putting that at Marcus, on Marcus's shoulder, just on the whole team, just still not clicking? Everybody's in there?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I think what Marcus has shown us by not showing us a lot in, the games that he's played for us, and just collectively the way we're playing as a team.
He's had some impressive moments this season.
I can't in good conscience pick us to win, not with what I've seen.
Yeah, he's had some impressive moments.
Can't do it.
He's had some very unimpressive moments as well. I mean, there's been some plays that he's made where I'm like, he's a vet,
right?
But and some interceptions.
I mean,
especially the way he turns the ball over.
Yeah, you've been saying as we've been watching some of these games, why is he making some of these throws? Why is he why is he making the throws that he's making? And then compared to that, why is he holding on to the ball when he should be throwing it?
Yeah, our entire offense doesn't really look that comfortable.
And
this
even
season. I don't think Cliff is drawing up comfortable schemes.
Well, even last week when JD was playing, we had all of our starters in, and we still didn't look that good.
I do think that Jayden, I think he experiences rust. I think that's what we've seen because he's been in and out, in and out, in and out all season long, with injury after injury after injury. I think we see a player that experiences rust. I also think that we have an offensive coordinator that doesn't really scheme up well, knowing that he's rusty, why can't we start off with some pretty simple power runs and some easy play action, some wide receiver screens and some things like that to make it easy on the quarterback to kind of get going and get our whole offense going. Because once the offense gets going, the quarterback gets going and everybody gets going. But it just seems like we just come into these games flat. And just like, how many games have we started with a 3 and out? And it's just like, well, we lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
that was the game right there.
Yep, we're not clicking. We're done. It's over. But I do think that we win in a tight one. I say tight by 24-17.
Okay.
I think that Marcus he's known that he's going to start this week. I think that the guys rally after the injuries that we're seeing last week. I think the Ertz injury is something that can kind of unite the locker room. Everybody's well aware. I mean, we're going to watch Hard Knocks next week, and I guarantee that we see some type of a coach moment where they say, we've got the Giants, we've got the Eagles, we've got the Cowboys, and we've got the Eagles. Let's buckle down. We've got 4 more games left of this season. I think we're going to see a hype up moment like that to get us ready and prepared, because we know Dan Quinn can hype these guys up before a game and get them ready on the road. So,
well, he did that against Kansas City because we came out ready to rock that game.
Yep. So I don't know what the special sauce was that was drizzled over the dinner that night before that game, but I think we got the same thing this week. So I got us winning. I think it's going to be good. And that's all I've got for this week. I'm really just crossing my fingers. And then we've got next week. We're getting ready for the Eagles, which we know is going to be on a Saturday game that got flexed into the
Saturday night game, 5 o'clock.
Yep. So we'll obviously be at that game. So in our next podcast episode, everybody look forward to us commanding the commute to that home game, to seeing how that game goes against the Eagles. And what we're hoping for is the ending of our losing streak. I'd hate for us to be recording that podcast next week saying, well, we lost another one. We suck again. But it's definitely
we'll see.
Yeah. Have we decided on food for next week? Did we decide if we were going to go with those steak sandwiches or if we're going to eat the stadium food?
I don't think we decided. We kind of went. We were going either which way the last time we truly.
Did I get you a little tongue-tied here with the food questions? Did you do your homework from the last?
Hell no, I didn't do it. No.
Well, listen. Luckily, we don't have a food ranking for last week's game. But so you got one more week on this homework. But leading into the tailgate for the Eagles game, we're going to need to know what you're thinking for the food ranking, and because nobody's buying the food that I made that last time was 9.
That's tragic, isn't it?
Yeah. So, well, this is a point in the podcast where we thank everybody for listening. If you've joined us so far, we would appreciate a like, a share, a comment. The comment that I'm asking for this week is going to be whether or not you think we've seen enough of JD5 for the 2025 season, and whether or not we should just see him again in year 3. So let us know what you think in that regard, Mike. We know you think that year 3 is where we should see it next.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. I think shut it down as well. But if you have an opposing view and you think it's worth sharing, let us know. But give us a comment, give us a like, give us a review. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you all next week. Hail to the Redskins.
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Thanks for listening to the Command the Commute podcast. I now welcome you to crack a cold beer, cook up some chicken wings, and enjoy the football game. Because the Commanders, the team, the Redskins, or whatever else you call them, is gonna kick some ass. If this is a home game, Bob and Michael will be in the Red Zone lot at Northwest Stadium. We encourage you to come to our tailgate and say hello. If you are still listening to the podcast, wow, you are an extremely loyal listener. I wonder how much longer you'll stay. Hey, I've got a question. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? You've got mail. Goodbye.